Ole Miss just scored a massive in-state commitment, but the real story might be what the NCAA is trying to do.
You are Locked On Ole Miss, your daily podcast on the Ole Miss Rebels. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to the Locked On Ole Miss podcast, the most watched Ole Miss podcast out there. I'm your host, Stephen Willis, a 10-year veteran member of the national media with Yahoo Sports and a former Ole Miss football staff member. We're proud to be a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network in America. That's all because of fans like you taking in content like this. Thank you very much for that. On today's show, the NCAA may finally be getting the power that it's wanted all along. Ole Miss is landing a top 100 in-state defender, and the 2027 recruiting class in Mississippi might be shaping up to be something special. All of that and more on today's Locked On Ole Miss podcast. Remember, we're free and available on all the podcast apps and YouTube, and a special hello to the everydayers who make this show what it is, your team every day. This episode is brought to you by Mazda. We put the same drive into every detail. Wins define the moment. Putting in the work, well, that defines you. Stay tuned for highlights in this week's Moving the Game Forward. There's more to a Mazda because there's more to you. All right, so Ole Miss got a commitment from Ben'Jarvius Shumaker. I am going to say Ben'Jarvius because of Ben'Jarvius Green Ellis. I apologize to Ben'Jarvius ahead of time because there's a lot of similarities there. He's from Choctaw County, Mississippi. He is a top 100 football player, the #2 player in the state of Mississippi, and he is a really good defensive lineman. Now, this is all in flux because we are going to start official visit season in June-ish, the end of May, and right now we are doing the unofficials before spring practice starts. But Ben'Jarvius is a guy that fits the bill. You can see why he's gotten the love that he has gotten. He committed to Ole Miss over Mississippi State, Tennessee, Notre Dame, and Oklahoma. He's 6'3", 260. And like we said, Choctaw County High School in Mississippi, same place that Caleb Cunningham went in Ackerman, Mississippi. So it's right on Mississippi State's doorstep. So don't expect them to just go away quietly in this situation. Now, when you look at this player, he is a consensus top 100 player, ranked as high as number 54 nationally by Rivals. He is 65 by 24/7, and he's 95 by ESPN. He's 4-star in every category, and he is #2 player in Mississippi according to Rivals, #3 in 24/7, #5 according to ESPN. Leads to a consensus number 66 player nationally, #5 defensive lineman nationally, and the #2 player in the state of Mississippi. A really good player in Ben'Jarvius. Now, one thing you need to look at whenever you have a player like this is his ability to take over football games. One of the things I used to do whenever I would go out to these events and videotape some of these football players back in the Stone Age before Huddle is I would immediately go and not look at the roster for who I'm supposed to be filming. What is the number of whoever is there to film? And the reason I wanted to do that is the first test for me is whether or not he is the best player on the field. Because if you are going to go to Ole Miss, if you are going to go to Alabama, if you are going to go to Georgia, odds are you are the best player in the field. So is this player a prospect, or is he somebody that you need to develop a little bit to get ready to go? Because you still will see flashes of players at times, but you don't get that overall dominance. Well, in this case, you absolutely do. You have the get off, you have the ability to two-gap, you have the speed to go sideline to sideline. He is the defensive line prospect that Mississippi is known for developing. Somebody asked me, it's like, okay, where would you recruit players from? It's like, hey, recruit your wide receivers from Florida, recruit your offensive linemen for Texas, and recruit your defensive linemen from Mississippi. The defensive line position, Mississippi does very well, especially that portion of the state, that's not far away from where Jeffrey Simmons was. They do a really good job on the defensive line in East Mississippi. He gets up to Ole Miss. They're obviously going to get ready to put him to work. They have another defensive lineman committed. We're going to talk about that in just a second. This recruiting class in the state of Mississippi has a chance to be unbelievably successful. So I'm really excited to see exactly what he can do and what he brings to the table at the next level. Now, 260 pounds, playing 3 technique, he obviously has to put on 25 pounds of good weight. He's going to do that in a college weight room environment. Absolutely. He's 6'3", he has the frame to put it on. So he is going to grow into whatever he needs to grow. The important thing is this is an elite prospect. And Pete Golding is landing elite prospects. Now, Keegan Croucher, we'll talk about him a little bit. He went to the Elite 11 and was throwing just dart after dart. He is somebody that is going to completely blow up in the quarterback position. He is transferred down to the Baylor School in Chattanooga, Tennessee. But he's another example of Pete Golding doing exceptional work in recruiting this year, kind of making the most out of that playoff run. I'm excited about this player. And if you look at what is available inside of the state of Mississippi and the fact that Pete Golding is obviously going to go after high school players inside the state of Mississippi this year, I think you should be excited because the emphasis seems to be there. And we're going to talk about this a little bit in the next segment because the top of the state of Mississippi is all top 200 players, and they're just really, really good. And Ole Miss is well positioned in all of them because they were right there. They were on the cusp of doing something special. There's no longer, hey, we're going to do this at our location. Ole Miss did it. Ole Miss got there. Ole Miss made the plays. Ole Miss is returning the best running back in college football, the best quarterback in college football, the best kicker in college football. And homegrown Will Eccles and Suntaryn Perkins, they're going to be on the roster as well. This football team is unbelievably talented, and you can point to the last 5 years of, hey, if you come to Ole Miss, it can be done. Man, I remember not too long ago, let's go 2007 when Ed Orgeron was in his last year at Ole Miss. And the question was, and you heard it every single year, can success happen at Ole Miss? Can you win? Is it just going through the motions and getting beat down? Is this the best it's ever going to be? And through Hugh Freeze, and I'm going to give him credit because he's the first coach that actually believed in Ole Miss and caused others to believe in Ole Miss. And then what Lane Kiffin did at Ole Miss, he obviously gets credit for the last 5 years for what he was there and his roster building that was there. Pete Golding takes over a system to where he's seen it get done. It's not a question of whether or not he believes it because he saw it happen. He saw the growth happen, that Ole Miss became a dominant force on the football field and was one bad quarter a year ago from 12-0. He has seen the players that has been brought in. He's seen what a proper player personnel department can do. And they have been very transfer-centric over the last 5 years. They have. Mississippi is kind of growing into an avenue that you can treat it like Alabama and Auburn used to treat Alabama. There's enough big-time players coming out of that state that you can use it as a proper thing. And Ole Miss has gotten Suntaryn Perkins, Caleb Cunningham, Jace Matthews, Cam Franklin, Will Eccles, all number ones in the state of Mississippi to come on and be a part of this roster. It looks like Ben'Jarvius Shumaker just is another brick in the wall when it comes to that. I'm pretty excited on the direction that they could go because it was just 19 seconds. Just 19 seconds. That's how close Ole Miss was to a national title game last year. Now, a massive year is ahead in Mississippi in recruiting, and the Rebels look ready to make their move. We'll talk about all that next. Hey, welcome to the 5-Hour Energy Flavor Draft with 18 different flavors to choose from, including new options like Confetti Craze, Fruity Rainbow, or Cotton Candy. There's something for everyone. The board is set, the flavors are ready, and I have my number one pick for 5-Hour Energy Flavor Draft, much to the consternation of Chris Marler of Locked On Gamecocks. Listen, my number one pick's grape, and this is the reason I'm picking grape. No matter which convenience store and which drugstore you walk in, you're likely going to be able to get grape. The consistency of being there, the fact that it's absolutely everywhere, they are going to be the number one pick. Now, not looking at berry necessarily because they're there as well. And possibly they could be a sleeper type pick or somebody that's old familiar that's in the bin. But grape is my number one pick. Now, if you have a sweet tooth, you can absolutely go to Confetti Craze or Fruity Rainbow or Cotton Candy or something like that. For me, it's grape, it's berry, it's consistency. It's about always being there. Listen, my sleeper, though, I will say this. The sleeper for me is pomegranate. Has a little bit of a tangy kick. You can take that to the bank a little bit. So I like grape, number one. I think sleeper could be pomegranate, and berry is just always there. And if you have a sweet tooth, you can hit those as well. So 5-Hour Energy shots give you a boost with zero sugar. 5-Hour Energy has lots of upcoming flavor innovations planned. Listen, I think they need to have a cherry limeade. Just personally, that's the flavor that I want to see, cherry limeade. If they can do that, that would be absolutely fantastic. So find your new flavor of 5-Hour Energy shots available online at 5hourenergy.com or at Amazon. Hey, workplace chaos, deadlines stacking up, inbox overflowing, and the one position you have to fill is still sitting open. When pressure's on and you need to make the right hire, this is a job for Sponsored Jobs. Indeed, Sponsored Jobs helps you reach the people who actually fit what you're looking for, either skills or experience or location. So you're not just hoping the right candidate stumbles across your post. And here's the stat that says it all. In the minute that I've been talking to you, companies like yours have made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. So if you're hiring, spend less time searching and more time interviewing candidates who check all of the boxes with Indeed Sponsored Jobs. Less stress, less time, more results. When you need the right person, cut through the chaos. This is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Just go to Indeed.com/podcast right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? This is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs. Hey, do us a favor, like, subscribe, and comment on the video. Subscribe to the podcast on whichever audio podcatcher you're listening to and give it a 5-star review. It costs absolutely nothing, but it can keep all of this free. Thank you for making Locked On Ole Miss your first listen of the day, and thank you for making Locked On the number one sports podcast in America. That is awesome. And I would like to point this out. If you've been thinking about joining the Everydayer Club, now is the time. You get an ad-free show, access to a group chat on Discord, my personal group chat on Discord as well. And if you signed up before the NCAA tournament, before Selection Sunday tips off, you can get into the Everydayer Club bracket pool on Discord for a chance to win Locked On merch. Should be a ton of fun. I'm waiting for the Selection Sunday to pick my bracket. Should be awesome. And right now, use the code MARCH, and you will get your first month free. That's right. Everydayer Club, ad-free, merch, all of that good stuff. Use the code MARCH to get in. That's lockedonolemiss.supercast.com or tap a link down in the show notes below. This year in the state of Mississippi is shaping up to be a really good year for football. Ole Miss they have 4 commitments at the moment. They're being very selective, as they always are. through this whole process, they do not take commitments just to take commitments. They take guys that genuinely want to be there. And with the high school cycle getting ready to kick off, you've got the unofficial visit season right now, going to go through spring practice and to whatever this year's version of Juice Fest is going to be. We haven't got a name of that yet. And then you go into June, that's official visit season and camp season. You're going to start to see a lot of commits. And it started with Ben'Jarvius Shumaker, and it is not necessarily stopping there. Ole Miss has 4 at the moment. They have Ben'Jarvius, they have Keegan Croucher, who is a quarterback that has a chance to legitimately go up into 5-star territory by the time this is all said and done. He is quarterbacking at the Baylor School. He is official visiting. He's already committed. He really likes Joe Judge. Jamarcus Pittman, defensive lineman out of Memphis. He's a 4-star on 247 and ESPN, only a 3-star on Rivals. And Javez Fleming, linebacker out of Oxford, Alabama. I think that's where Trey Elston is from. 3-star on Rivals, 3-star on 247, no star on ESPN, but a pretty highly thought of player. You're going to have camp invites and stuff like that start to happen. These are the commits that Ole Miss has currently. These are the top 7 players in the state of Mississippi, and it's worth paying attention to. The number 1 is Caden Moss. And now on 3, Zach Berry a couple of days ago pointed out that Caden Moss and about 6 other big-time players in the state of Mississippi took an unofficial to Oxford. He's the number 33 player in the country. He is a 4-star, right on the edge. Actually, if we're going to be real about it, if this was the end of the season and they were done, he would be a 5-star player. He is favored to go to Ole Miss according to their recruit prediction machine. We already talked about Shumaker. There's Mitchell Turner from Louisville. Louisville is the team that beat McGee in my senior year state championship game. So Mon Nicholson and Morris Scott just completely ripped us to shreds that day. But Mitchell Turner is a highly rated defensive lineman that, depending on which service, he'll either be the number 1 or the number 3. Him and Shumaker kind of alternate. He's also from that East Mississippi corridor. Sam Lejeune, he's a linebacker or a defensive lineman out of Poplarville High School. He's 84th nationally currently. Tyson Robinson out of Brandon. It's hard for Ole Miss to get players out of Brandon. You ever notice that? It's kind of like the Picayune of Central Mississippi. Brandon's definitely in the heart of being a Mississippi State school. Derwin Fields, number 175 nationally, favored to go to Ole Miss. And then there's Tykees. That's that running back that is putting up freaky stats at Poplarville right now. If you want something to look at that would get your attention, look at what he is doing. You just look up, it's like, oh, Tykees ran for 464 yards and 6 touchdowns tonight in a random high school football game. Tykees is kind of getting everybody's attention. He is somebody that Ole Miss is going to pay attention to, especially when you consider that they are now with somebody that probably has a lot of roots in South Mississippi. Frank Wilson, he has that New Orleans stuff. He has the Louisiana stuff, but he also is likely going to have some of the South Mississippi in his blood as well. So that is something to pay attention to of what's going on. This is going to be a massive, massive year in the state of Mississippi. And like I said in the first segment, Mississippi is kind of starting to get to the position to where there are enough good players to support Ole Miss and Mississippi State. Before, it was kind of splitting not enough. There was kind of enough for one school to be good at a time. Now it's a little bit bigger than that. It's kind of looking like what Alabama used to look like. So I'm interested to see. You have a coach and a coaching staff that is very big on high school recruiting, very good at doing it. Pete Golding has been called the best recruiter that Nick Saban has ever had work for him. And then you get Frank Wilson to your staff. There's a chance that a lot of good things can happen. Like I said, I know Frank personally. I mean, I was there at Ole Miss when he was there the first time. I know exactly how he operates, good and bad. One thing that you can count on is he's going to recruit really well, and he always has. even through all of his journeys and all of that through college football, UTSA and McNeese State and something like that. So it should be pretty interesting to see how it goes. But would you believe me that that's not the biggest story right now? It might be the most important thing to you. The biggest thing that you need to pay attention to, and I'm afraid that people aren't paying attention to, is, well, in our final segment, wait until you hear this. New national legislation could give the NCAA everything it wanted and potentially take $20 million per year from Ole Miss in the process. We're going to break that down next. This is Mazda's Moving the Game Forward. For those who show there's more to the score than what's on the screen, Dom Decker gets the call for me from a player that never hit a collegiate home run until about 2 weeks ago. Well, he has about 5 now, including an opposite field blast against Evansville over the weekend. He has become the perfect modern leadoff hitter, and I'm pretty excited about that. He is an example of what it takes to raise the bar, that extra work on the field, off the field, dialing in every detail, giving it that extra fire, that grit, that I never quit. We put that same passion into every model. Highlights make the real. What it took to get there makes it count, because there's more to Mazda, because there's more to you. So if you're interested in Mazda, check out a test drive at your local Mazda dealer. So on Friday, let's go back. On Thursday, the NCAA appealed the Trinidad thing, or not necessarily appealed, announced that they're going to try to do it, the 650-page report or something like that. The next day was the Washington, D.C. thing. We talked about that over and over, what's going on. The plot to steal money from Ole Miss, the antitrust that the NCAA is praying they get, because these state courts are just completely neutering everything we say. Every time we get a ruling, we get challenged. Well, you get challenged because your rulings are usually not just and just based off of a whim instead of the actual facts. That's beside the point. So I said that this appeal was using Trinidad to get eyeballs for their push to Congress. And the next day was their meeting for their round table, which was a rectangle, by the way, but I digress on that. It was a joke. The round table was a joke. And anybody that tells you that anything is going to come out of it, they're wrong. Here's what you need to know about what happened. An act got put through that was essentially the SCORE Act with provisions of pooling media rights revenue. Right now, it's optional, okay? If this one goes through, it's optional. If it goes through to mandatory, it's a problem. But that got done. And Mike Johnson, who is the Speaker of the House, said that he had enough votes to get it through the House. Now, whether or not it can pass the Senate, I do not know. This is based off entirely, almost, President Trump's EO that he did back in the day. So if it makes it to his desk, he's going to sign it. So it comes down to whether or not it can pass the Senate. And I don't know. I don't know if 60 votes are there. But you need to start paying attention to this, because if the media rights get in, the lower conferences are going to try and steal your money. They are trying to steal your money. And once they start trying to steal your money, they will keep finding different ways until they actually get it. At the Saving College Sports Summit, the American commissioner actually brought up the fact that we should pool our media rights and all of that. And for those who don't understand or don't know what's going on, pooling media rights is a thing from Cody Campbell. He is the Texas Tech mega boosters that kind of set everything in motion for what we're in right now. He kind of is partially responsible for that, but he also can fix it. The arsonist is like being called to put out the fire at this point. Cody Campbell said the bill filed tonight by Senator Cantwell and Eric Schmidt is a great signal that bipartisan and even nonpartisan support can be mustered for official issues around college sports, especially revenue generation. He is the one that wants every media right pulled together so that the Big 12 and the ACC, they don't have the gap behind the SEC and the Big 10 that they have right now. This, combined with passion, support, and interest demonstrated today by real Donald Trump and meaningful progress in the House on the SCORE Act, prove that there are tremendous momentum on this issue currently, and I am currently hopefully that we will soon reach a solution that will save college sports. The athletes, the schools, the conferences, our communities, and the entire country are counting on us. Let's make it happen. He also said during the thing, Cody Campbell described his concept of pooling media rights and generating more money for women's and Olympic sports as consistent with Trump's executive order issued in the last summer. It seems the SEC and the Big Ten have chosen to disregard the directions of the president. So what you need to know is they are using everything that's going on, the fact that the Big Ten and the SEC are successful, as a way to attack them. And there are more people that are not SEC and Big Ten fans than are. So they have the numbers. And because of that, this thing has a chance to go through. My question becomes, at what point does the SEC and the Big Ten break away? At what point do they do that and then go after the biggest brands that are associated that are still left in the NCAA? And is that the goal of Cody Campbell all along? Is that what he wants? Because they have gone above and beyond to make the SEC the enemy for 3 years. I think everybody saw the number of bots and burners on Twitter just completely railing. I mean, it's like, if you could make a bot on Danny Cannell, that's the way this is at the moment. So maybe that's the goal. The fact of the matter is, if the SCORE Act goes through, if this act goes through, if it gets passed, the NCAA will have its antitrust exemption to where they can go back to picking and choosing winners like they used to do back in the day. If revenue generation happens, that's literally taking money out of Ole Miss's pocket. And you need to pay attention to this. You need to make sure it doesn't happen, and if it does, the SEC actually walks out of the NCAA. The worst thing that can happen for Ole Miss is this passes and they stay in the NCAA in that system. They'll never win another thing. Never. It'll never happen because it'll be rigged so it wouldn't happen. What you're looking at right now are rich grifters trying to rig the system. They couldn't stand that Indiana, Ole Miss, and Vanderbilt and Georgia Tech were in the discussion for the college football playoff this year. We've got to get that stopped. We got to get Notre Dame in. We got to get all of the blue bloods performing. You know, Texas missed it this year. What? Absolutely nuts. So anyway, thanks for tuning in today for the Locked On Ole Miss podcast. We're going to continue to talk transfer portal all week long, so make sure you subscribe and follow the show so you get the latest episodes. We're on all the social channels as well, so check that out. And if you never miss an episode, the Everydayer Club is built for you. Get Locked On Ole Miss ad-free, plus members-only Discord access and more. Head to LockedOnOleMiss.supercast.com to join the club. For those of you on video, we're going to send you the first ever 24/7 national Locked On Podcast Network YouTube channel. On audio, make sure you get a second listen, either Locked On SEC or Locked On College Football. That'd be fantastic. Hotty toddy, everybody. The NCAA got everything they wanted for Friday. Now they have a chance to get that passed. And if they do that, they have a chance of survival. Do you want the NCAA to survive? That is the question. We will talk to you tomorrow. Hotty toddy, everybody.